Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another book haul. I am so excited to be making this video. I love book hauls. I love filming book hauls. I am all about getting new books. This is the second book haul that I do this year. This is from, I think, February or like March until now. I did already do a huge book haul because I feel like I did buy a lot of books in January and February. So I will link that up in the card so you guys can check it out because that is my first one of this year. This is the second one. So yeah, like this video if you enjoy book hauls. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right into it because we have a few books to talk about. So the first one I got is Kiss Her Once for Me. I got this one secondhand in a vlog. I will link it up in the card so you guys can check it out. This one I bought because it is kind of like not forbidden. I love forbidden love, but I feel like it's forbidden because one of them is pretending to be a fiance to a guy, and then the guy has a sister, and then she's attracted to the sister. So obviously that sounds messy, and I cannot wait to read about it. That's all I'm gonna say about that one. Then in that same vlog, I got two other books. This one is An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed, and this one is basically about an old lady who has committed a few murders, I guess, throughout her life, and she is retelling all of them. And I don't know what's going on in her life, but she is currently going through something where she has to kind of like either retell all of the murders that she has committed, that she has gotten away with, or like she's being caught. I don't know, but basically she has committed a lot of murders in the past that are now either coming up or she's bringing them up because of something that's going on in the future. So obviously I'm here for a little, you know, old lady who kills people. I'm down. I am down. Okay, then we have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I think this is about like a little table with a coffee in a coffee shop, and then people who sit there can go back in time, and then you have to come back before it gets cold or something like that. It's kind of like one of those books that makes you think about like the decisions that you have made in the past and how they affect your future, and if you had the chance to go back in time and change them, would you or would you not? And yeah, it just gives you a lot to think about, a lot of perspective. And I already tried to read this, not read this, but listen to it on audiobook because everyone raves about this. I've seen it everywhere. Back when I had social media, this was everywhere. So obviously I am a fan of books like these in general. This is originally translated from Japanese, which I feel like I always click with those books. Like Almond, I think, is one of them, but I don't know if Almond is like Korean or Japanese. So yeah, this is apparently a story about human relationships, missed opportunities, and the enduring power of love. A thought-provoking and at times tear-jerking realization about what we would say if we could go back in time. So sounds very interesting, which is why I'm not gonna DNF it for life, because I know that I am gonna enjoy a book like this. I always have. And I feel like the time that I DNF was mainly because I wasn't in the mood. So, alright, this one's gonna be quick because I have a whole vlog about it. So, Chain of Gold. I was gonna say Chain of Iron. Chain of Gold. I bought this during that vlog. I read the whole series, book 1, 2, and 3 in this vlog. So I will link it up in the card so you guys can check it out if you want. But during that vlog, I read this on Kindle, like through the library, and I loved it. So I went to the secondhand store nearby and I found it. So yeah, I love this book. Unlike the third one, I really like the first one and the second one. So all right, then I have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. This one, I don't know if I have uploaded my favorite covers of all time video, but this one I forgot to mention it in it. So if you guys watch that, this is another one that I'm obsessed. I love this cover. I honestly only got this because of the cover. I have read is it XOXO, or what's the name of her other book? I did read another one of her books that I did not like, actually. I think I rated it like 2 stars because it was like too YA for me. It was supposed to be about an idol like falling for a regular ass girl like me. Okay, so obviously as a fan of BTS, I was like, oh, I need to read it. But I did not love it, especially because the guy was kind of rude. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever they were in school, I know that like a lot of Asian books are like this. I feel like every time I read manga, they're like this, like where when they're in school, they pretend to like not know you, or they ignore you, or they treat you differently. Like, why is this a thing in Asia? Like, do people actually act this way? Because I feel like it's very common in the books that I read. So like, is this like a normal thing to do over there? Because I'm not about it. I am not about, we were talking last night and then in school you're pretending like you don't know me. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where like, I hear that like in Korea you cannot show your shoulders, or like you can, but it's like frowned upon to like show your shoulders, but then they don't mind mini skirts. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where I'm like, is this like normal over there but not here? And I'm like, you know, not like questioning it because I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be disrespectful, but yeah, whatever. The point is that like in that other book, he was a little bit annoying, and I rated it like 3 stars or 2 stars because of that. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what, this also sounds like a little bit of a YA book, but the cover, I can't not buy it. I had to. I think I read that it had to do with Spirit Away, which is my favorite Ghibli movie, so obviously I had to read it or buy it because I have not read it yet. But yeah, I had to buy it. Even if I didn't like it, I had to. I couldn't just move on with life knowing that that is a maybe like favorite book of all time, you know what I mean? So all right, then I got a different edition of My Dark Vanessa. How cute is this cover? This is a UK edition. I absolutely love this book. If you guys don't know, this is basically about a girl. It goes back in time, so I think it's like 2000 and 2017. So when it was 2000, Vanessa was, I think, 15 years old, and she was dating her professor. What the heck is that? I think there's like a fly in my room. A little fly, because I can barely see it. So it goes between 2000, 2017, and 2000 she was 15 and he was like 40 something, and he was like her teacher in a boarding school, and basically they ended up developing a relationship. And then in 2017, another student is coming with accusations against the same guy, and Vanessa has basically, like, the book is her, like, you see like what she went through with him whenever you look at the past, but then in the present you can see her kind of like thinking that what she went through, she was like, she consented. So like basically, like, sometimes people are like, well, like, I consented, so it doesn't matter if I was underage. Like, I feel like she is having a hard time understanding that when you're underage, even if you consent, you're too young to be consenting to those things, you know what I mean? So like, it's still inappropriate in the sense that, like, he's a pig, you know what I mean? So yeah, basically, like, it's like her whole life she has been seeing this situation as like something, like, she actually truly thinks that he was in love with her, she was in love with him, which again, it can't still be true. Doesn't make it right, you know what I mean? So she has this idea of how that relationship went and what they actually have going on. Like, till this day, she feels like they have a connection, and I think they do keep in touch, like, not regularly, but they do keep in touch throughout the years. Basically, like, a victim coming to terms with the fact that she was in fact a victim and not like someone who just happens to be in love with someone who's older than her. A lot of people compare it to Lolita, and they say that Lolita is better and this one is not. I read this one first, so that's why maybe I might be biased, but I do want to read the Lolita one as well, because if it's the same thing, yes. All right, the next 3, let's do all 3 at the same time. I got these in a vlog. Again, I will link it up in the card so you guys can check it out. I got the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. I don't know if these are like 3 of them or there's like a 4th one, but I did get all 3 of them secondhand. I haven't even like taken out the sticker. All I know about this series is that it is about a murder, or like something was going on either in her school or her city, and the case is basically like nobody's talking about it anymore, and she decides to do a paper about it. And then basically, because she is rehashing, how do you say that in Spanish? We say revolcar la mierda. Rehashing like things from the past. I guess people from the past that had something to do with the murders are coming for her, or like are basically like, it's like trying to keep her quiet or like something like that. She's basically like bringing up a case that is already closed back into the light, and then the people that were actually guilty, I guess, are coming for her or something like that. That's all I need to know. Honestly, that's all I need to know for me to want to read it. All right, then I have this one, and this is a classic. I have no idea what this is about. I thrifted this book, and I think I read inside that it was like little stories, but then like, is it? I don't know if I'm like making that up in my head. Like, it has different, it doesn't have like different authors, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm kind of like, wait, is it little stories or what? I don't know much about this book. All I know is I liked it. It was cute, it was a classic, and it was cheap, so you know, I got it. All right, another book that I wanted to mention is this one. This is Convenience Store Woman. This one has so many covers. I will insert them all here so you guys can see them. But this is my favorite. I read this on Libby, and I waited until I found this specific cover, the purple one, because I love it so much. I also like the one that has like the little ID card, like the yellow one. So pretty, so pretty. But this one I like better, and it is a really short book, and it's basically about this woman who is in her 30s. She's not in a relationship. She has no kids, and everyone in her life is just like, you're just gonna work in a convenience store forever, you're never gonna have kids, are you never gonna get married, are you okay with being alone, like, you need to do something with your life, oh my gosh, is this it? That's all you're gonna do with your life? And she's just like, yes, I am content this way. Like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? So in this book, we see why she loves her little boring life. And basically, I think she bumps into someone who is, I don't know if he's going through the same thing as her, where like his family is expecting all these things from him, but they do get in a relationship, like a fake relationship, to keep their families quiet, basically, to be like, okay, now I'm in a relationship, are you gonna leave me alone or not? You know what I mean? So they get in a fake relationship, and I don't remember much about what happened at the end, but I do remember that they either became really close or like something happened between them. But yeah, is this supposed to be soy sauce? Like, is this how they sell soy sauce in Asia? A gem of a book, quirky, deadpan, poignant, and quietly profound. It is a gift to anyone who has ever felt at odds with the world. I think this is also a UK edition. Oh, it is Japanese. I thought it was gonna be Korean, but yeah, this is Japanese, and it's kind of like the same vibe as this one, where like they make you think about life and what society expects and whether or not that's what you really want, or is society telling you that that's what you should want, you know? All right, then I got The Book Thief, and this one is pretty popular. I have read about it before, and it sounded obviously amazing, because as someone who loves books, if I was, you know, living back in the day and the only way for me to get books was stealing them, then I'm not gonna say I would have, but I might have. You know what I mean? So who am I to judge? Anyways, this takes place in Nazi Germany. And if you guys don't know, I am moving to Germany in the fall. So obviously anything about Nazi Germany, I am here for it, because I also want to read The Diary of Anne Frank. I know I should have read that years ago, but I haven't. So I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. But this one is kind of like along the same lines of like hiding from the Nazi. So this is supposed to be like about this girl who basically, I don't know why she's stealing books, but she's stealing books in Nazi Germany. And then basically she's been hiding them, and then I think her family, I don't know if it's her real family or like her adopted family, but somebody like in the house that she lives in, they take in refugees, like Jew refugees, and now I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that she's been stealing books, but like something happens, like the family bringing in the Jews in the house is kind of like the catalyst for something that has to do with her stealing the books. You know what I mean? So anyways, I don't know much about it. That's all I kind of know. And again, anything that is like German, Nazi history, I am here for it. All I know is what the American freaking education system taught me, which is not a lot. So then I have yours truly. I actually pre-ordered this one. Abby Jimenez is my favorite romance author, so obviously every time she announces a book, I pre-order it. So yeah, this one was a 4 stars. It was actually not one of my favorites from hers, so I have a whole vlog about it with spoilers. Keep that in mind, so I will link it up in the cards. In that same vlog, I go over these two. This one is Ariadne. I'm not doing spoilers for these two. Only, like, the vlog has only spoilers for yours truly. It doesn't have spoilers for these two that I'm about to talk about. But we have Ariadne. And Ariadne is basically a very, like, I would say, like, feminist, woman power type of book. It is a retelling, obviously, of Greek mythology. And basically, like, Ariadne is trying to protect this guy, and basically she betrays her own family by protecting him. They run away, and she thinks that everything's gonna be fine after that, but then he turns out to be someone else. And yeah, it just goes from there, like her basically redoing her life where she's at right now, like wherever she lives now, and being kind of like a princess who is not necessarily on the side of her people. Like she has empathy, so she knows that like her rules, or like the rules that she should be applying, are not beneficial to the woman in the place that she lives in. So I'm sorry that I'm being so vague. I just really don't want to spoil it. But basically, yeah, she's just basically trying to look out for her citizens as a leader, and not necessarily putting herself first, kind of like sacrificing herself and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, it's basically like a story about women empowering other women, and about gender roles, and how women deal with not liking gender roles, in the sense that, like, for example, some women feel forced to be mothers, but they don't really enjoy being mothers. So you have that perspective. You have both Ariadne and her sister's perspectives. They have very different views as what it's like to be a woman, and what our roles should be, and all that. So yeah, it's a very, like, if you're obviously into like feminism and stuff like that, then definitely recommend. And then this one, I actually rated it 5 stars, and I feel like I should kind of like reread it, because I did the audiobook for this one, and I feel like maybe I skipped some things, because when I look at the reviews, most people like don't agree with me, and a lot of people say that there's like a lot of plot holes. So I'm like, did I like listen to this audiobook too fast where like I missed a lot of things? But like basically it's kind of like, it says that it's for like fans of Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is my favorite author of all time. Currently, obviously it can change in the future, but currently she's my favorite author of all time, and I agree. I feel like this gave off like Evelyn Hugo vibes, and it's basically this young girl who is like in her 20s, and she marries this 60-year-old for convenience. Like I think they're both aware that it's for like mutual convenience. They're not necessarily in love, but at the same time I feel like she clicks with him in the sense that like he sees her potential as a screenwriter. Her dream is to be a screenwriter, and they meet when she's still a bartender, and she's bartending an Oscars night. So that's where she meets him, and he helps her basically become a screenwriter. But when she gets into like his friend group, then she sees kind of like suspicious stuff. People are kind of like sending her warnings about him, and she's like, what is going on? So in this book she kind of like goes and not necessarily like goes on a hunt for his ex-wives, but she is digging around about like his ex-wives and why they got divorced and all that, and she finds out things about him. And you know, I really liked it. I feel like maybe I read it too fast because of 5 stars and then nobody likes it. Maybe I missed something. So yeah, I think I'm gonna reread this at least once this year and then go from there. But yeah, and I actually read this after Ariadne, so I was like on a feminist kick, okay? I was like, yes, woman power. I was like so proud of being a woman, and then I read this and I was like, yes, which might have something to do with why I liked it so much. All right, then we have these infinite threads. I actually got this. Is it a signed version? That's why I got it though. Don't you just hate when you get a signed version and it's like just that? Like, thanks for that signature, I guess. Like, is that a stamp or what? Is that a stamp? No, it is actually a signed version. Oh yeah, I thought it was a stamp, but it's not. It's definitely a signature. But yeah, anyways, this story is my favorite fantasy romance that I have read since, I would say, ACOTAR, because after ACOTAR I feel like I connected a lot with Daughter of the Moon Goddess, of course. Of course, but then I also did Folk of Air, and I like Folk of Air, but I feel like Folk of Air did not hit like the romance spot. It did hit the adventure spot and the political, you know, intrigue, is that what's called, the little like political shit in their books. I love that, but there wasn't like enough romance for me to be like yes, because I love fantasy with romance. It's really hard for me to get into a fantasy that doesn't have romance. So when I read this, when I read the first one from this book, I was like, it's okay. So I already had this one borrowed from the library, and I was like, might as well just go, and I am so glad that I did, because the first one was 4 stars. It was still great. I'm not saying that the first one is not good, it's great, but this one, you know, like those merch items that say team whoever the villain is, if you are someone who loves falling for the villain, you have to try out this series. You just have to, okay? You have to. This whole series, I'm not gonna tell you what this book is about because I don't want to spoil it, but the series, like the first book, is about this girl who was meant to be a queen, but then she ended up being born in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she ended up not getting that, you know, the crown like she should. So basically she is friends with the prince, but he doesn't know who she is. So whenever the actual king, who's the grandfather of the prince, is mentioning her, he's making her sound like she's bad, and then the prince is like, no, I know her and she's not that bad, like she's not coming for us. But then something happens where, like, you know, things change, and then the story goes from there. So basically they ended up having a really close relationship, kind of falling for each other in a way, like they have feelings for each other. So yeah, they become enemies, and then she ends up getting close to someone else. I think she's like being forced to marry someone, and yeah, I love it. I love this story. It's so good, so good. And it is by an Iranian author, so obviously we love supporting our international girlies, our POC authors. So yeah, I love this series so much. I feel like I cannot recommend it enough. Check it out. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one.